Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Brennan and Lube. And the topic today is the difference between standard ISTP and jumper ISTP. So I'm going to get them to introduce themselves first, starting with Brennan. So go for it, dude.
Brennen, ISTP, consume, play, blast, sleep, double feminine.
All right. And Lube.
Yes, all right. My name is Love Holkner, and I'm MFTINI Sleep Last Play.
All right. So it's good to have you guys again. For some of you, it's been Brennan, I interviewed you a few months ago. And
Yeah.
Lube, it's been a while. So, good to see you guys again. We're going to jump in at the biggest difference that you guys have, which is one of you is savior gatherer and one of you is savior organized. Okay, so one of you is more chaotic and the other one is more controlling. So why don't we go over with that, starting with you, Brennan, and just share a little bit about yourself being the gatherer type.
Gatherer. Yeah, so I definitely struggle with organization. That's something that is that's kind of why I thought I was an EP at first. I'm always just taking in, and I guess that's the consume dominant. Just always consuming information and trying to get the next best thing. I get really bored of topics easily. So like I have that it's a very typical of like ENFPs and ENTPs of like that stereotype of getting bored of things. And I've always identified with that of just getting bored with whatever I'm researching at the time after I've studied it completely, or at least how I feel I've studied it completely. And I just keep on moving on. So it's just a constant, I guess that is one of my biggest fears is boredom. It's like being stuck with one thing and not having any flexibility to move into another area of that.
Yeah, gotcha. And then what about you, Lube?
It's pretty similar. Like no one would ever call me structured or orderly, I guess. But I was thinking about like the difference here might be like I'm more like I get hooked up on things that last forever, and people tell me like, yeah, you should let that go, but I don't. So it's like, and then I get the reasons why I get bored about everything else is like just to so that I can keep on my fixation. So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely getting bored about most things, and I'm not as curious, I guess, but I am very hooked on like when I'm hooked on something, it can last for years, and yeah, it's tricky to get out of it, and yeah, and and do what everything else that needs to be done. So yeah, tunnel vision on a specific thing. It's like a drug, I guess.
Gotcha. So I guess you guys seem, one of you seems more IJ-ish and one of you is very EP like.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
But before getting typed, I thought I was EP as well. So it's like yeah. So it's like I am very out there when I'm out there, but it's like my head is still just on one thing. But yeah, I am also like this SEFE play is helping me a lot when I'm out with friends.
Yeah.
Gotcha, dude. All right, so I want to cover the other big difference between you guys is that you're both opposites. Okay, so Brennan, you're consume first, sleep last, and Lue, you are sleep first, consume last. So like you guys live in like the opposite world. We're gonna start with you, Lue, first. So you kind of explained it already a little bit when you said that you get obsessed over one thing for like a long time. What other thing that you notice about yourself being consumed last that could be a problem,
Yeah, definitely. Like it's if you consider the animal types and the order of them, and it's like I don't give as much authority to like to the textbook or so to say. Like it's not like it seems to me that we I don't play the game as of to refer to some facts that I've read about, or I'm not as good in Trivial Pursuit, for example. So it's more like I'm stuck with my module in my head that is building I'm not gathering like you should be very good at it, like to like take in new information and like like that's cool, that's cool. But I'm just like no, I'm putting up the wall there. I'm not taking in the anti arguments from the world. I'm just like having my anti structure.
Right. Yeah, we should talk about that too. Your lead NT and your ST last, and Brennan is NT last and ST first. So, well, why don't we pass it to Brennan now? Talk about your problems being sleep last and also disrespecting the NT as a result of having it fourth.
So that's what I don't fully understand yet, because it's like, for the longest time I thought I was NT, and the way I operate feels very NT. Like everybody always kind of like they talk about, like I have very NT nerdy interests. I have very NT like ways of thinking about things, like the way I calculate things and stuff like that. But it's like, I can definitely see how I don't operate as much on like intuition and sense of like how I view things, because it's hard for me to accept something unless I have the data in front of me. Like it's like I can, but like I feel like it's really risky to do something without like all the information in front of me, or at least a lot of it. But at the same time, I can also have less information than I think most people can, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like I make decisions with less information than most people can, because most people have to have like every detail planned out before they even make a move. And I'm like, I can do it off of less information than that.
Yeah. That's the
but
ISTPs. We're still ISTPs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can you help me understand what that would look like, just as an example of like the NT stuff, of like inferior NT, Kendrick or Louis?
Yeah.
So
Do you
Louis has
wanna-
double activated NI. So why don't we get Louis to explain that from his perspective?
Right. I just think that since the NT is first, I just think the narrative is different. Actually, it's like it expresses pretty much the same. Like we operate in the same kind of manner, but it's just the narrative in our heads are like based on different languages. But I still think that the ISTP like actions in life is pretty similar. Like when we do it, like it's hard to tell like an ISTP from another ISTP when doing something, I guess, some specific tasks, and the way we operate in the group is pretty similar. And yeah, but I'd say that I definitely struggle with the narrative, like put myself into ST and being ST efficient for a lot of hours, like a whole work day. I get really tired and drained afterwards. And yeah, and also to get to this ST mode, I just really need to pull through a lot of NT to allow myself to be in ST, or there has to be a real crisis. There has to be something really physical, threatening or something, and then I'm hooked into ST mode. But if it's like a regular day, I have a lot of narrative to go through to just accept my day in the ST.
Okay. So basically, based on that, you're kind of classifying ST as like working hard, kind of like working a bunch of hours or something like that, and not necessarily making things more efficient, but kind of just going out and like being a workhorse. And then NT would be limiting how much working, but maximizing every single hour, right? Is that right?
No, um, it's if there is a difference, because like maximizing everything that's still in the ST realm to think like that. So it's like it's the anti. It's like it's more about like, you know, if you have a goal that you're hooked on. When I have a goal, ST goal, that I'm hooked on 100%, then I operate ST in an ST manner to get it. but it's not like this North Star is very clear to me. Like I struggle, like, okay, I could do this, like doesn't matter. I'm stuck in like an existential dread about why to do stuff. But when I'm supposed to be efficient, I can be very efficient, like, yeah, and then the NT is helping also. But I also have to go through a lot of other stuff, like, yeah, like it feels like a lot. I have to sacrifice a lot to allow myself to be in this ST state. You know, I'm double masculine in my ST last, so it's like very powerful when it comes out, but like there's a lot of things like if you're big, you have to be kind and all that stuff, like before I can allow myself to move straight ahead.
I just realized you guys both have double masculine fourth animal. So that's super interesting that you guys happen to be like that, because Brennan has double masculine NT sleep, right? So so it means you guys can both see your fourth animal because it's double masculine. It's just obviously it's still challenging to do, but it's present. Another thing I noticed when I'm watching you guys talk is Brennan, you're super clear. I think ST clear is you're ST clear plus info dominant, so no one can like the only thing that could make you even more clear is if you were like MF, you know, like because you're double feminine, so
because it's more flexible, right?
Your sensory is a little bit like flexible.
It's more grounded. It's more way more grounded. It's like you are explaining the concrete, like, so it's like your narrative is concrete, the world is concrete, everybody else is trying to understand concrete. And
well, I guess that's funny, because it's like all my life people have told me that I'm just out there, and then I just talk so weird, and that everything I say is just so weird and abstract to them, and they just can't possibly. I mean, obviously we're talking in things that are like, I don't know, I guess we're not talking in things that I would classify as abstract concepts right now, but like,
is it the DI that's like the TI SE, like you just cover a lot of layers, like if we did this in this way, and people are just like, no, we won't join you on that ST because it's too difficult or something like that.
I think there is a piece of that where it's like people can't, like, I think sometimes I over explain or give too much detail or something like that in an explanation of something, and people aren't not always able to process that, and so then they end up shutting down or not wanting to take in that information, or just not understanding it, and just kind of saying like, dude, are you on drugs or something like that? And I'm like, what? And I was literally just explaining an entire concept that I focused on. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why that's hard to understand.
That's weird. It definitely is. And then but that's more of a tribe thing, I believe. Like, I have it too. Definitely.
I think,
but I think it's the masculine. I think the TI is definitely sometimes more to deal with than the NI. Like, even though,
I would just say
masculine. Sorry.
I think Lube would more likely to come across to be on drugs because of the double activated NI, you know, because it's like so you know, intuition is for a lot of people is like, whoa, that's like crazy, right? And you know, Lube, you not only are you lead sleep, you are double activated NF blast, so that's like, you know, that's like that's like INFJ land right there, you know.
So it's more like the way I operate in that is like if people like have a problem or something, like when I see like they could change perspective to be more balanced or something like that, I can give them small nuggets like that, but I don't want to go into all the double feminine on the NF is like, I don't want to punch my NF view, and I try to be very acceptant of diversity and all that. So it's just like, but when I see someone struggling, and try to give some small on how to ease their mind, so to speak, and like accept their reality.
I see. I also realized you're both double feminine on your double activated animal. So that's kind of, Brennan with double activated SF play there. So you guys are truly opposites in a way, almost.
In-
All right, so I want to talk to you guys about being info dominant and energy dominant. I think that's like super big. Okay, so Luve, you are energy dom, and you know how Dave and Shan describe you guys is you're like super goofy, you like to just play and whatnot, and like info dominant is like accuracy of information. You know, obviously there's pros and cons to both sides, so I kind of want you guys to share about that. So the pro with info dominant people is that when they give you information, it's super clear. Like there's no BS. It's like straight to the point. It's clear. You get the whole picture, right? The problem is when it's party time, you don't want to be talking about information, right? You want to be like exchanging energy and vibe. So those info dominant, they ruin the vibe because they're like trying to talk about information when you should be like goofing around, right? So you don't want an info dominant in a party, well, but you want them to be in, when you're having an important conversation, right? So, what has your personal experience been like, you guys, being energy dominant and info dominant? Let's start with Lube first.
Okay, it's in general, it's just has been like ups and downs with the energy, and people are getting it's like, and then it's like the double NI, the TI and the NI is like I'm up and down in energy, but it's not like it's very it's hard to get in and influence that vibe. Like so it's like when I'm up, then I'm up, and then when I'm down, and it goes in waves throughout the day, and it's very hard to influence it for other people, I guess. And so like if I'm down, I'm down, and if I'm up, and I'm up. That's pretty much it.
All right, Brennan, what about you?
I mean, I guess with my experience as an info dom, I definitely can identify with that, the party thing or whatever. Like I've never wanted, like, I mean, I like having fun. Like I like engaging in like funny conversations or something like that. And I like being goofy. But when it comes to like the desire to be in some big gathering, it's like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go out to a party. I never went to any parties as a high school. In high school, I'd rather be at home playing video games or whatever I wanted to do, or discussing some grand concept with someone. And I mean, I guess, yeah, this is my first impulse in any interaction is to be able to eventually get to whatever topic I want to talk about, right? But I have to always bend. I mean, it's the feminine FE. I always end up bending to whatever other people want to talk about. And then sometimes it frustrates me because it's like I never get to talk about what I want to talk about. And then by the time I do, then like the conversation doesn't have enough time. And so it's like it's a whole frustration where it's like I don't have any time to talk about what I talk about. So then I have to start barging in and even get my point across. You know what I mean? And then people get mad at me, and then end up having to stop doing that. And then all of a sudden it's just a whole cycle.
That's nice. I've seen that we have it in ISTPs, like totally. But maybe a difference there is than like I've been in more like maybe you're more preferring like the one-on-one hangouts, and I rather be in a bigger group and then like see. So maybe that's the part.
Yeah, I definitely prefer one-on-one over like I prefer like smaller groups. Like I can handle like 3 people, but like I can't split my attention amongst like 10 people. Like that's just super daunting for me. And it's like I'm literally not able, and I feel bad because I'm like I don't want to leave people out. And I don't want to like give people a sense of like I don't want to exclude people. That's like one of my biggest things. And so it's like I prefer to just have smaller groups altogether so I don't have to deal with that big aspect of having to give small amounts of time to everybody. I'd rather give large amounts of time to a smaller amount of people.
Yeah, you can't have it all, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Luve, I guess for you, when you go to those big groups, you're vibing. You're not so much there to like exchange information, but you're like just feeling the vibe of the room and the people, because you're NF, you're double activated NF, right? So
I hope I'm better at. I think I'm better at it than I actually am. I believe, but yeah, that's what I'm hooked on, and I think I have a when I'm in a bigger group, it's just like I'm just risk managing the group to have a good time. So like, okay, now with this decision was made for the group and we are heading this way, and I'm just like, who might not be who's coping the most with this decision, and then I'm just trying to ease their pain, so to speak. If, like they wanted to go to that place and the group decided to go to this place instead, and I'm just trying to be aware of those things, and then it make his day less painful. So that's like my responsibility when I'm in a bigger group.
I like doing those in-person OPS meetups. I don't know if you've been one to Lübeck in Europe. I think maybe you have.
I was in one smaller meetup in Stockholm, and yeah, it was great.
So I did one here in Vancouver, Canada, and what I noticed is like the info dominant, they're like, let's go exchange information, but the energy dom, they're like looking around the room instead and just like, like not paying attention to the info at all. So I'm like, there's like a really like a big difference between energy dom and info dom in terms of like behavior. I mean, when I hang out with energy doms, I have to throw them like a little bit of energy goofiness. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I'll do some weird act and shit just to like give them something,
It
but
makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Sorry, Kim, did you? Yeah, like what I got from that was like, yeah, that's interesting. Like maybe it is the time and place when to like gather information, and like when we're hanging out, I have a different responsibility than what I have like at home when I'm trying to sleep process or taking in some consume for further my sleep process. So it's like, yeah, this different maybe an infodom is like, but finally I'm meeting someone with the same interest, and then they just wanna like bounce the info, and then they're getting very extroverted because they're like, this is a group with the same same interest as myself.
Yeah, even when I see play last people, they seem more extroverted actually at times, just because of the exchange of information. So I do find that in some ways the play last is more extroverted than the blast last, just from that because they're willing to exchange information, while the blast last just wants to exchange energy. Anyways, I want to switch to a different topic about you guys, and that is TI. I want to talk about TI now, the TIFE axis. Okay, let's start with TI first because you're both lead TI. I want to go with the TI's desire for respect. All right, so that's like a big one that a lot of TI people say is like they want respect. How do you guys define respect in your own words, and why is that so important to you? Let's start with Lube first.
That question is like throwing us right into the shadow side. I don't think the ISTPs wants to admit or like even for themselves like that is a big issue for us. Like see it like, but respect is respect, and like that's something like concrete that we are trying to navigate around. It's not something that we like hone in on. Like I want respect, and people should give me respect, and it's just like something we operate around the day and have as a mind, like one of these North Stars. Especially, I guess we're both double feminine, the feminine on our FE, so it's like, so it's, yeah, there's definitely some responsibilities that we have to behave in a certain way, I guess. Even for you, Brennan, and it's like, Elena, for you as well. I mean, that's the language. That was my language, and yeah. So it's like we operate around it, but I think it's not something that we make sense of. It's a weird question. The question for me is it doesn't feel like I cannot make sense of it.
Okay, well that's fine. It's okay. I wanted to hear it from your own word, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Brennan?
Yeah, so I've actually, respect is one of those things where it's like I've actually analyzed that a bunch of times. Like because everybody always uses the term respect and stuff like that, and it's like,
what the fuck does it mean?
Everybody has this loose definition that nobody seems to like be able to tell you exactly what it is. Like, I mean, you can look up the definition and it'll say like admiration for someone or something like that. But it's like, so in that definition, I'm like, I don't respect everyone, right? I'm not gonna admire every single person I see. But it's like, I don't know. I think I'm getting into the semantics of it, but it's like, for me, I definitely do think that I try to earn respect a lot of the time. Like I try to, and specifically through my TI, I try to, I think I end up flexing a lot of the times. Like I tend to try to flex my knowledge or whatever. Or I try to like I try to appear as the most competent person in the room, or the most knowledgeable, or the most able person in the room. And I think that comes down to it. It's like I desire a form of like, I do all this stuff, and so like I'm like kind of wanting people to like say, oh, that's cool, you know what I mean? Or something like that. And I mean, I don't expect everybody to respect me, obviously, but it is a desire to have people respect me. And it's more of a desire the closer I am to someone, right? So like I won't care as much about somebody who I don't know to respect me as much as I do about somebody who I'm really close to, like my wife, you know what I mean? So my wife obviously is the most important person that I want to respect me. And so anytime I feel that she's not respecting me, it hurts that much more. You know what I mean? So it's
It
like
hurts.
that.
It hurt, definitely
Yeah,
hurts more.
exactly.
So, but that's also like that's like that's a thing, something that we need to like go through, and because we can also like make it bigger than it is and all
Yeah.
that. So that's a struggle we have. Like
Well, and I
to,
think there's something to that where it's like, I don't know about you, but I have the feminine FE. And I think that all my life I've kind of mirrored people's emotions, but I amplify them almost. Like if somebody shows anger towards me, I'm basically, my natural instinct is to just take on that anger and kind of reflect it, kind of like hold it in and then push it out and reflect it back at them. In the sense.
It makes sense
And
also in the way that like because if they allow themselves to be angry, then they are crossing over our path, and that like we put on so much effort to not show anger and
yeah,
to dismiss, and then when people are getting angry, like okay, let's bring it.
yeah. It's a very toxic like fighting spirit in me that like gets really, and I'm trying to work on it, of like trying not
Same
to
here.
respond so easily, because like people have always gotten my goat really easily. Like people used to, like even in elementary school and stuff like that, people just purposely egg me on knowing something's going to trigger me, and then they just continually say, because like I'm really susceptible,
Yeah.
especially when I was younger, to like if somebody says something that's completely untrue or something like that, especially if it's related to me. And I'm like, that is not true. That's not logically coherent whatsoever. And
No.
they just keep on saying it, knowing it's going to make me mad.
Yeah,
And they just
and
keep on doing it.
yeah, and then we experience rage and all that. Yeah,
Rage is
we're
something that I've always struggled with.
yeah, same here. I sorry guys, I just need to wake up my friend. He was sleeping with uh, earbuds just to not wake up from this call. So I need to wake him up now.
Okay, I'll pause it. Okay, so I wanted to bring back something that Brennan was saying about when he was younger, he was being triggered by people who was trying to egg him on, especially when they're saying something that was untrue to him. So for you, Luve, I'm curious, would that, if you were in that same similar situation, would that piss you off as much? Because you're not info dominant, you're energy dominant, right? So
Uh,
so do you think that the energy, the vibe is more important than the accuracy of the information? Like you would let
yeah,
it slide? Like it,
yeah. It's not when I have reached my it has been, I guess, from different reasons. Maybe it's like yeah, since the most things in reality, like the concrete stuff, is moving off me quite easily. So it's like different stuff that angers me, I guess. It's more like in this realm of respect and this realm of how to behave in a group, and yeah. So it's like sometimes ISTPs and other DIs can be like I can get very angry with like when we choose DI when it should be DE in a group, and yeah, and all that. So it's like sometimes it feels like my what do you call it, like it's early in the morning, but yeah, my responsibility is to like control other DIs somehow in the group, like don't go move too fast here and don't move too fast here, and yeah, like I understand you, but we're in this group and it's not gonna work, like yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious about the DIs. So you're both DIs, and you know, one of the important thing for DIs is to be the best, right? But then you meet other DIs like the INTPs, you know, ISFPs and INFPs, and you know, especially like the lead FIs. I think I noticed that TI people, they think they don't. There's like a question mark when you guys see like the lead FIs, like what's going on there, you know? So how do you guys experience that when you meet like fellow, you know, DIs, like high, like the pure DIs, you know, like those ones I mentioned? Like, well, how do you guys? What do you guys like? What's happening? You know.
I love it. Like it's like sorry if I misunderstood, but when I in general, like DIs are what's interesting. Like it's like very interesting for me since we are a DI first. It's I think it's like logical that we are looking for other people's DIs, even if it's in a play mode or anything. We're still like looking for that DI in other persons. So yeah, the DI is what's interesting, but it's how it's acted out is like different, and yeah, I would do it like this, I would do it like that, and yeah.
Why is other people DI like very important to you?
I think it's in the concept of like connection and like feeling that we are operating in similar ways and and worldviews, and basically it's about trust in that aspect. Like how can we believe that this person is behaving in more critical situations, and when the shit hits the fan is what's happening then, and yeah, I think that is maybe in my control, and like how to see the group, like yeah, maybe.
What about you, Brennan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like just in my personal interactions with people that I believe are ISFPs or FI DOMs. I believe my little brother is an ISFP, so I grew up with him all my life. They tend to not make much sense to me. Like they're kind of weird. Like I ask them why they did something and they never have a reason. Like they just, I don't know. Like they just do things, and I'm like, but at the same time, like my brother can just like, he can play sports better than me, for instance. Like he just, I'm like, how'd you hit the ball like that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just did it. Like, what? I'm like, why do you not have any explanations for anything? And just like that, I consume explanation. That's one of my things where it's like, I do respect a good TI response to something. You know what I mean? Like I respect, like I like it when people can give me like a good solid reason.
Yeah.
But FI,
you won't get that from the FI. No.
I do struggle with the pure FI. Like I can handle like FI mixed in there, but like with like some, like even like for instance any FI, like I can handle ENFPs and stuff like that. But like FI DOMs are like, usually I can be fine with them, but like a lot of times they irritate me with how little like processing or logic they use in their decision making, and I'm like, why would you do that? I'm like, why would you go out and do that thing when you didn't have a reason to? I'm like, I can't even, it's hard for me to process the idea that anybody could do something without a personal reason that's not logical, you know what I mean? But that's through my DI of my TI.
And your ST narrative, like it's like everything is based on that. So like I can see for myself that I act a lot without this narrative, but yeah, definitely. I can see the struggle.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite ever is watching lead TIs interact with lead FIs, because whenever I look at the lead TI's face, there's like their face is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and and I absolutely love it. Like I'm like, oh, this is great. It's like,
Well, and
he's like,
there's this.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh gosh, I have an FI story. There's this girl in middle school. She was vegan, and she was nonstop. And I went to a Christian school, right? And she was trying to tell me all these things about how Jesus wants you to eat vegan. And so I'm like, there's nothing in the Bible about that. Like, it's not logical. There's nothing there that says that we can't eat meat or anything like that. And it's like, she kept on trying to force her entire like FI value on everybody. And she was like trying to get, I think she was an INFP the whole time. But she like kept on trying, and I kept on asking her, like, I was like, why do you not eat meat? And she's like, cause. And I'm like,
That's right.
you haven't given me any proper reasons why I shouldn't eat meat or milk or any of that. I mean, but then she would show up with a milkshake. That's the other thing. She do contradictory stuff, like just showing up drinking milkshakes and stuff. I'm like, you know that has milk in it, right? You know you're literally contradicting your entire like value system.
Good times. I love it. I that's if there's another meetup with OPS, I would definitely love to see like an INFP chat with like an ISTP, and I'm like, yeah, because it's like,
But
because I
yeah,
feel like I feel like I feel like INFP and INTP can chat because they both have NE, and then ISTP can chat with ISFP because you both have SE. But then when it's like the opposite, oh, that's when it's gold, you know. Um,
When I can chat with INTPs, it's just that if an INFP is like too, I think it's more masculine FI. I think it's masculine FI specifically that I'm seeing. Do you think that's true? Like somebody who's really hard set on their FI value or something?
I don't think so. I think it's lead FI in general that would get you, because they're both quirky in their own way. So it's like
Yeah.
for a lead TI, it's like it's all about reasons, logic, and then this person is the complete opposite of that, right? So like so it's I think Lube has more chance of understanding them because he's double he's not, he's ST, you're ST fort, Lube. So you don't necessarily need to talk using ST. You can just use your NF and your SF, and I think you can understand them better with that. Like with
yeah,
Brennen, it would be like, what the hell,
mm, yeah, I believe so. Maybe like I've seen like during the workday and everything. Like this is a common trait. This is a common. I see it in the everyday, like at work and stuff, like these misunderstandings, and it's pretty self-amusing to observe from the outside.
Yeah, definitely. Like like anytime if an opportunity arises, like ISTP,
Mm,
INFP together, give me a popcorn. Like I'm gonna go watch and
mm.
see how this unfolds, because this gonna be entertaining for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I can definitely help with the bridging in the understandings, but if I'm trying to understand to an ST dominant how this NF or how this SF is operating, I don't want the SF or the NF person to be in the room as well to like accept it, because it never turns out well. But if I can bridge if I talk alone with like Brennen, and I can bridge if I talk alone with the other one. But
yeah,
it's not good to have them both in the same room at the same
yeah,
time. Then
yeah,
it's a too long conversation.
yeah. I guess you could be the translator.
You know,
Yeah,
an FI thing that I never fully understood was getting random tattoos everywhere. Like just getting random tattoos ever. Like I never understood tattoos in the sense of like, well, I just felt like getting it. Like I'm like, well, you didn't think about the cost or like the long-term effects of that or like anything related to that. I'm like, God, I can understand like somebody who has like a really meaningful one tattoo or something like that. Like if somebody had somebody that died and they wanted to memorize them or something like that. But like people that can't even explain what their tattoos are about. I'm like, why did you get those tattoos? Like, I just felt like it. I'm like, well, why?
Yeah, felt right. Felt
that's
right.
Yeah.
that's something I noticed. Like all the tattoos of ISTPs are like very very clear and very like they have put a lot of effort in positioning, and and
The
yeah,
reasons.
the reasons, and
Hmm.
especially with the consumers. I'm also opposite. I'm just like I watched 4 seasons of Vikings, and then I just like, I'm gonna have a raven, and then I tattooed a raven. Like first place, I let the designer choose and by himself and all that, and the positioning was not great. So it's like, and I just made it done in like, yeah. I woke up and I pretty much like got this. I'm gonna have a raven as a tattoo, and I went ahead and did it. So 4 hours later, I had it. So
Couldn't
yeah,
couldn't a raven represent TI?
in a way, definitely. Yeah, there is those reasons, but it's like I went ahead before I had them. It was not that important to have before, but now afterwards, it would be like it could made it a bit better. Yeah. Now it's on my arm, and I'm just trying to should my shirt be up or down?
Got him.
All right, guys. So for the last part of this interview, I want you guys to ask each other questions in terms of what you want to learn from your jumper or standard type. Okay. Something that you can integrate to yourself, because essentially, if you guys combine together, you're the complete ISTP, right? Absolutely complete, because one of you is audio kinesthetic, the other one is tester visual, and then obviously your fourth animal and your first animal would be switch. I did some interviews a while back with other jumper standard, and it did seem like if you combine them together, then you will get like the full power.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, you only have part of your power right now. You don't have the full power as an ISTP, but if you got like the last piece of the puzzle, then you could have your full power. So my question is, what do you want to learn from your opposite type or jumper or standard type? And what do you think your full power would look like if you were to learn that? Let's go with Brennan first, the lead consume.
I mean, I guess the obvious question would be, how do you practically use NT sleep to your benefit? Like what are the steps to getting to that point where you can regularly use it in a beneficial way that will help you in your day-to-day life?
Oh, it's a good question, and I'm triangulating on the. It all merges down to one basic concept: is to merge this consume last and to merge like sleep last, and yeah, it's about letting go and to not I'm to feel in control without any control. Uh, so so any urge that you have to like research something, to look up a recipe for something, should be out the door. Like sometimes it's good to have the recipe, sometimes it's good to have instructions, and but ultimately you should do it without. Like
Gotcha.
that's my anti goal. Like if I have the perfect philosophy, I don't need to take in more information, because I would just operate like MacGyver without any recipe.
So essentially throw away the instruction manual.
Yeah,
Interesting.
essentially. Yeah, and
That's
all
difficult
reference
for me.
and all references and all outer authority. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
throwing out the instruction manuals is a difficult concept for me, because it's like, I mean, even when it comes to cooking, right? Like cooking's supposed to be very flowy, and you're supposed to be able to just like be able to do some sprinkles. But like to me, I'm like, I want to make sure that it's the exact same every single time. I want to measure out exactly a quarter tablespoon. I want to do this exact measurement, and I want to make
yeah,
sure everything's accurate. And I panic if I don't have instructions, especially for something that I don't already know, right? Like if I don't already know how to do something, I panic if I don't have instructions in front of me.
I know, right? And it makes a mess for me. Like when I'm cooking, for example, that's a good example. It's like I just move very intuitively. I don't even have a plan before. I have this. Okay, I'm gonna do this dish with pasta. Okay, I have pasta. All right. I have this kind of meat, and then I just okay. I need some vegetables. I need some, and I know how long an onion should cook and all that. Like it's not no timers involved. It's not nothing involved. It's not like how much salt does it need. It's not like I don't measure anything. And then if I was supposed people like, you're a very good cook, and teach us, then I would have a real struggle to get it down on paper. Like I would have a real hard time. That would be the hardest thing to get it down on a paper, because I would just like shoot from the hip and write something, and it would be not accurate.
So do you think it's boring to you to do the same thing more than once?
Yeah,
Did you say
I
that?
get. I eat the same food. Like I can definitely eat the same kind of food every day, and
Yeah,
I can make
same.
lunch boxes and eat the same food for over a week, no problem. But it's just like the execution, I guess, is it's a ultimate. It's a way to. Another example that is good is like I'm into frisbee golf. We throw discs, and I have these ISTP friends, and they're consuming, like they have these bags with like 30 different discs with different functions, and they know how all the discs are operating in the air, and then they have this standard throw, and they they change discs depending on how they want it to fly in the air. But I have my 3 discs. I have a putter, I have a mid-range, and I have a driver, and I can go through. I depending on how the landscape is, I throw them differently. Like so, I know this disc. Okay, I can do this with this disc, and I try to like. But everyone is like, you should have this disc done, and throw it like that. But I have this disc, and I throw it like this instead, and it worked. But you're so lucky. You're full of bullshit, and blah blah blah. You're always lucky. I mean, I get more lucky the more I practice, I guess.
I think I can identify with the NT sleep specifically within the context of like a game like chess. Like
Yeah,
I think I'm good at my NT sleep when it comes to like something like chess. I'm
mm,
not super advanced or anything in chess, but I'd say I'm above average, the average person. I can beat a lot of average players or whatever like that.
mm,
But the way my play style is more chaotic.
mm.
Oops, oh, sorry, I have an alarm going off. My play style is more chaotic, in the sense that I don't plan 10 moves ahead. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
play as I go. I'm
Mm,
always just looking at what's happening to me and what's happening to the other person, and
mm.
I'll randomly throw in weird things to throw the other person off. Like I'll
Yes.
do something that just seems so stupid to the other person to kind
Mm.
of make them weirded out and like, why is he doing that? And kind of
Yeah,
make them overthink about it.
yeah, and it can definitely
Never let
throw
them
out
know your next move.
the INTJ plans.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
INTJs are playing chess way different. Like yeah, same here.
Yeah, because I've never
Uh,
been able to plan specifically in chess like 10 moves ahead. I can maybe plan 1 or 2 ahead, but that's it.
mm. It's very intuitive chess in that way. Like I play the same. It's always evolving, and then I get like a hint of like, okay, I could operate like this, and then I just move towards it, and then it didn't work.
Yeah.
And also I guess you and me in chess, it doesn't matter that much if we win or if we lose. It's like I just know that I get better. It's the same with the frisbee golf. I know that I will get better. Like I just trust the process of getting better. If I have like I know I will be better in 5 years. I know I will be better if I put in the hours, and then I just play, have a good time, and trying to like get what I try to do is like, okay, it did that in the air, the frisbee, and yeah, the same with the chess. Like, okay, I could uh, fork him into this position, and then okay, and then
Would you say sleep is kind of releasing the anger associated with loss?
it's all about it. Like my entire life, I've been studying philosophy to let go. Like I know that I can't like it's like my NT is trying to like let go of not controlling. Like it's weird. Like my that's my NT. I understood from an early age that like I will not have what I want. I will not like. So I have to accept that fact. But then I do struggle with instead like with now when I do have a goal. Like my my first 25 years was like pretty much to like I was stuck in this school, in this institution. I could never like I felt so stuck like in a prison, and I just had to accept that fact that life begins later. That's what it felt like. So I just had to process and accept that I'm stuck here. So it
Gotcha.
was, I think that's the reason why I studied a lot of letting go, and also a lot of other stuff like but letting go and the Buddhism and Taoism and pretty much. But yeah, I've studied those things a lot, and also Alan Watts is like also great to like let go of those stuff.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Alan Watts in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's stuff that I've been definitely working on in the last year or two. Of like trying not to. I think it's the biggest thing is like trying not to control all of the results or whatever. Of like knowing that. I mean, I obviously knew from a young age that failure is important to progression, right?
Mm.
You gotta be able to learn from your failures and stuff like that. But it's like I think there's still a sense of like frustration that I get whenever I lose, even though I know that yes, I'll benefit from this. It's like I get overly emotional about each loss or whatever, and it can end up hindering my performance because like I mean, even in like let's say in a game, let's say in some kind of let's say in a chess match, right? I do one wrong move, I get emotional about that one wrong move, and then the whole game is lost because I lost my emotion right there. And then I lose all of the control over the rest of the path because I got so hyper fixated on that one loss. And so it's like that's what I've been trying to focus on is not fixating on those losses and more just letting it happen and just moving on kind of thing.
But also like the thing with you are, I bet you're better at winning than I am also, because I'm just like, this is a really losing game, this philosophy. Like I need to change, I need to my process now is like I need to accept my double masculine ST and just move. So it's like I need to accept that part of myself, my ST, and just win. It's like I have this Adrian from Rocky. She's just yelling, "Win, go win!" And I can't just get there.
Yeah. So you're
I'm just waiting for it. I'm just trying so much to like get out there and live up to some potential, I guess.
so your
But I'm
your
stuck in my
greatest struggle is inaction, right? Like not being able to get started on something.
yeah, because I've told myself my entire life that life begins later, and now it has begun, and I just need to get going.
Yeah, I think in the like I think when I was like really young, I struggled with that where it's like I had all these ideas of like the future of like trying to get started. And I just wouldn't do it, I wouldn't act on anything. But at the same time, I'm only 22, and I'm like, this is the time where I can finally act on things and start doing things. So it's like I'm trying to get into that right now. But I think I kind of identified with that a little bit in the past, where it's like I would sit around all day thinking about all these possibilities of what I could do with my life. And I just think like, oh, I could do that, and then I just don't do it. And then I could do that, and I don't do it. But then as I'm entering my maturity in my 20s, I am starting to be able to create that motivation to go out and actually do things. For instance, I'm about to move to North Carolina,
Awesome.
across the United States. Like I'm in the opposite side of the United States, and I'm about to go buy a house and put a rental property on there, which is what I've wanted to do for the last year or two. And I'm about to do that in the next year and a half. And I'm going to start my real estate portfolio. That's something that I want to do, and that's something that I want to stop thinking about and actually go out and do. And obviously, you need capital to put into it. I'm trying to save up about 100K right now off my job to be able to get started with that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's great. Let you see you're way ahead of me already. I'm living month to month. Yeah, and I'm just I have to decide whether I should buy tobacco or food this next week, and that's my struggles.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting how Brennan's not overthinking it, because that's also a problem, right? When you overthink things, so you do, and then instead of overthinking.
Yeah, but
I mean,
but
I do think sometimes it's hard
he's
for me to
moving
make
ahead.
those type
It's
of
a great
decisions.
progress. It's like, yeah, it's the I like when I watched this video of the ISTPs. Like, yeah, they're definitely just moving ahead with progress and everything, and just do it, man. Just do it.
You definitely like in the traditional cognitive, I mean, it makes sense because you technically are. You definitely seem more like an INFJ than an ISTP.
It's like it's a philosophy of a bum, pretty much. Like, I have nothing good to say about it. It's like it is good, but to what cost, right? Like, I would definitely I just wish to begin and get going, because I know I have it when I do.
Do you feel do you feel happy even when you're not accomplishing something?
Yeah, I think I've struggled with depression a lot. I tell you that, but yeah, if if I'm if I'm if I have a if I'm not hungry, or if I'm not cold or too hot, or I'm pretty happy. Like, if I'm
That's
not
that's
over, yeah.
that's the benefit you have right there, is regardless of where you're at in life,
Mm.
you're for the most part happy. I have those struggles where it's like it's hard for me to be happy if I'm not doing something, like if I'm not going out and like accomplishing all these things. Like in my
Yeah.
head, I'm supposed in my own standards of myself, I'm all thinking I have to be a 30-year-old like right now, and I'm 22 years old, and I'm all thinking
Yeah.
I have to plan all these real estate moguls and all this stuff, and
But
it's
it will
hard for me to be
it will
happy
yeah,
with
but it will get you
mundane.
there. Yeah, but it will get you there. Like, even you think happiness might be over the next hill, and but you will get to that next hill. I don't. I want to go there, but yeah, I struggle.
All right, guys. We gotta wrap up the interview from here. But it was a very good chat, especially that last part. It was very interesting how you guys were discussing your own obstacles. Especially I like Luve's philosophical input that you were giving Brennan about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helpful.
Nice.
Especially Brennan, you're a young ISTP, so Luve is kind of like
Yeah.
the mentor here. So that's pretty cool. But
I would switch places. I would like to have his effort, like the way he can put down things.
yeah, no, it's obviously amazing as well. So there's like pros and cons to both sides.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna wrap this up here. So thanks, guys, for coming out and doing this interview and sharing more about yourself as standard and jumper ISTP. And it seems like you guys have more in common than differences. The biggest difference, I think, is your language. Like Lube is very intuitive and Brendan is very like clear, SD clear. So, but
It's so
otherwise,
funny because like I never thought of myself as like not in like the way that I talk. Like, I always thought I was like more out there type of thing.
yeah,
And like I realize that now, and I'm very very clear and ST, and like, oh, this is what it is. Type
info
of
dominant too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Good
Always
one.
nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Brennan.
Nice to meet you too.